Hello, I'm Hector Elizondo, Emmy Award-winning actor, and I want to talk to you about getting older. My body hurts, my joints ache, and sometimes I forget. I forget that doing all your own scenes for a movie isn't always the best decision. Especially when you're galloping side-saddle down a countryside road on a horse named Archibello, who seems to have only one speed, high. And pulling on his reins only seems to encourage him to go even faster. So, of course, my body hurts and my joints ache, but it's not because of my age. It's because I'm living my life. Oh, Archibello!
Don't let life pass you by. Take care of your brain health. It may just help you stay on top of your game.
As soon as this scene wraps, I'm going to kiss the ground, thank Archibello for his outstanding performance, feed him a carrot, and visit brainhealth.gov.
Find out how you can make the most of your brain as you age at brainhealth.gov.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? Well, what's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents. And when a kitten has a litter of oopsies and a puppy has a litter of uh-ohs, pretty soon you have thousands and thousands of OMGs. And that leads to millions of pets being killed in shelters each year. But if 80% of people with pets say they believe in spaying and neutering, then what gives? Turns out that those sweet little fuzzballs can get pregnant sooner than you think. A lot sooner. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. You just have to remember one number, 4, as in 4 months. When you bring home Maggie or Ruby or Puddles or Clyde, get them fixed at 4 months old. It can be old enough to get pregnant, and it's definitely young enough to make a difference. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late. We stay informed. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Rather snowy morning. Here it is, January number 4 in the year of our Lord 2018. And we are loaded to bear this Thursday morning. Got a lot to cover. We got some really rather scary stuff to go over with you. We'll get into that as well. It involves China. And you need to... Folks, the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, y'all need to really have as many people as you know tune into this program. Not that I'm begging for listeners, but this stuff is important and it's not being covered. I mean, this stuff is it's world changing. The world just changed. And not for the better. And people don't... You know, we can't go along and around. You know, I understand that we all have busy lives, but you've got to understand that those busy lives can end in a heartbeat. And I am not talking about Donald Trump's tweets. You know, the lamestream, we've got a major problem in this country. We've got a major problem in the Western world, but in this country especially. We have got people that are so spiteful, so hateful, so incompetent, so partisan, that these people who are charged with just telling us the news can't even do that anymore. I mean, it is... I don't... Look, folks, I don't completely understand how we have not completely revolted against the mainstream media, the people of this country. I don't know how... I get the fact that there are approximately slightly less than half the population, didn't vote for Donald Trump. They didn't support him. I get it. But when it comes to actually just wanting to know the truth, are you telling me half the population doesn't want to know the truth? No, I don't buy it. Of course, out of that half the population that didn't support Trump in the election, you can't tell me that all of them, the majority of them, I mean, it's probably half of them don't want to know the truth. But again, remember that no matter what happens, that we have an extreme on both sides of the political aisle. We have extreme people on the right and we have extreme people on the left. And they only compromise about 10% each of each side. So that would leave, if only half of the half that didn't support Trump are really radical enough, that would only leave 15% left of the general population to make up for the general population on that side. Get it? 10% plus 15% is 25%. Yes, I'm still using real math here. The problem is that we're not getting I don't understand. Not that we need to boycott, because unlike Sean Hannity, boycotts don't generally work. But here's what you stop doing: you don't support. You don't have to. You know what a boycott? A boycott means you stop doing something. You stop supporting a business until they change their mind. The Southern Baptists. For a while there, they boycotted Disney because they wanted Disney to stop offering, gay days and stop supporting. That wasn't going to happen, especially, and it was dumb. Here's what you do. You don't boycott. You just stop giving them your business, period. And you just help them go out of business. And that would be New York Times. Help the New York Times go out of business by not buying their newspaper. And seriously, just stop buying the newspaper. And don't say, well, once the New York Times gets their act together, I'll buy it. No, that's a boycott. Boycotts rarely work. You just change your buying habits and support somebody else. That's all. Support a newspaper or news organization that is telling you more of the truth. Because they're not doing it, and it's endangering our lives and our children's lives. I mean, it's one thing to dislike the president. It's really one thing to dislike his policy. But when you get to the point where you're actually in such a mode where you endanger the lives of the public, including their own. I mean, speaking of Disney, haven't we seen Disney movies where, in other movies, haven't we seen movies where the character is so bent on destruction of the evil character, is so bent on the destruction of the good person? I mean, look at the Lion King. Scar was so bent on destroying Simba that he was willing to destroy himself in order to do it. And in the end, he did, just basically destroy himself, and Simba lived on. That is the lamestream media right now. And those on the left, they are so bent on destroying Donald Trump that they don't even realize that they're destroying themselves, and yet they appear to be okay with destroying themselves as long as they destroy Donald Trump. The problem is that that's not how it works. It's not a problem for us, it's a problem for them. That's not how it works. You end up destroying yourself and you're just gone. And those you're trying to destroy, they come about. This is unbelievable. And we are now at a point where the lamestream media does not want to not only report the news, but they're avoiding reporting such news that it could actually literally endanger the lives of the American people. I'm not talking just military. I'm talking everyday rank and file human beings trying to live their busy lives every day. It is now at the point where our lives in general are now in danger because we do not know what's going on, because they refuse to tell us what's going on, because they hate Donald Trump that much. And it's sad, which is why this program is, and programs like this are on the air. By the way, yeah, we'll get into the Bannon thing. Folks, I don't, you got all these pundits out there trying to tell you what's going through Bannon's mind. I never even knew who he was until Trump ran for office and made this guy a strategist. I didn't know who he was. And most Americans didn't. There were some Americans that did, and they warned us about this guy. They said that he was, he was kind of hot-headed, and he always looked like he was a mess. And even when he cleaned up, he looked like he was a drunk. I'm not saying that he has an alcohol problem. I don't know if he does or doesn't. It's irrelevant. He just looks like he does all the time. The older Nick Nolte gets, and the actor Nick Nolte, everybody knows who Nick Nolte is. He kind of looks like he's got that Nick Nolte look all the time. Nick Nolte, for a very long period of time, except in his earliest days when he was on camera, but once you get past Beverly Hills Cop, Nick Nolte looked like he was always a drunk. Like he's just getting over a hangover. That's the way he looked. This is the way Steve Bannon looked. He's a mess. Nick Nolte at least could clean up. I've seen Bannon in a suit and tie, and he still looked a mess. There's just some people that just naturally look that way. They just cannot. They don't have the posture or look to clean up, and he just doesn't have that ability. I haven't seen him look perfect. I haven't seen him look like a James Bond-esque spy, all cleaned up. I've never seen him that way. I'm not saying that he can't. And evidently, if he can, he chooses not to. So we got some Bannon news coming up. I should probably save this for Freedom Friday, Open Mic Friday, but this is going to have some people here in this. If it ever comes here, it is going to have some people on the left flipping out. It has to do with white privilege. Yes. Do you realize that it's just in America. It seems that whites should be self-hating, self-loathing, and people should hate white people. Well, because in many other parts of the world, white people are revered. Well, and I'm not talking about in Eastern or Western Europe. I'm talking about in the most populous parts of the globe, which is in the Far East, Asia. You've got Japanese and South Koreans who find it very sexy and who go through a lot of procedures oftentimes to lighten their skin. You want to talk about, people who try to get to be pale? Look at South Koreans. It's almost unnatural for a lot of them. They avoid the sun so they can be so they can be as white as possible. On the West Coast, there is of this country, there is a highly popular plastic surgery procedure for Asians. You know how Asians look like they have, we call them slant eyes? I think Asians have beautiful eyes, but the popular surgery out on the West Coast for Asians is to add the fold that is missing. So they have a more normal round eye instead of slant eye, if you will. So you've got Asians all over the planet that want to be white. And yet you got white people here, liberals, that say white is bad. Well, here's another story coming out of Thailand. There is a new procedure in Thailand that is catching on fast. In fact, there are some plastic surgery clinics that are drawing as many as 100 men a month. And these men are being drawn to these clinics to lighten and whiten their penis. Yes, I am not kidding you. Here's from Asia Pacific News Channel. A Bangkok, Thailand clinic that draws more than 100 men a month to its penis whitening service has caused a stir in Thailand. Yes, the Lelux Hospital, renowned for its body whitening expertise in a country obsessed with skin color. Now, you have to understand that Thailand is a Southeast Asian country, and those Asians tend to be darker than Northeast Asian countries. And yet they are going through these procedures to lighten their skin. And some of them say, well, if I can't lighten all of my skin, I will spend the equivalent of $650 for 5 treatments to lighten my private area. Now, I'm guessing it's very dark down there. Okay. And they want it to be lightened. Now, here are now this is, and it's spreading from Thailand. I mean, here are countries that revere white people and want to actually be white, and then you've got those people here in this country who, for whatever reason, seem to think that white people are the equivalent of the devil, and they hate white people. And white people should be ashamed. We're even giving classes in college on how telling white people how not to be so white, and yet it's doing just the opposite in the most populous part of the world. I can't make this stuff up, folks.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Around the town when folks are snacking,
Bell's the brand, you'll find them packing.
the great taste tells. If it's Bell, it's swell. At parties, dinner, or when you're lunching,
Bell's the brand that gets you crunching.
the great taste tells. If it's Bell, it's swell.
The potato chip that's made today is fresh today to be crisp today. So dip away, eat them any old way, and let the chips fall where they may.
In the bag or boxed in the pack,
Bell's the one that keeps you coming back.
'cause great taste tells. If it's Bell, it's swell. Bell, swell.
Everybody has aspects of their own self that they would like, that they dislike or would like to improve. You know, look, this is the time of year that we all many of us do try to do that too. You know, we join the gym, we make New Year's resolutions to get in shape or to exercise more or to eat better, to get in better health, to look better, and we do various things. But most of us do not go to the point of actually altering our appearance in such a way. Now, some of us may go to cosmetic, refer to cosmetic surgery in order to help us lose weight. You get the tummy tuck, or you get the lap band, or whatever they call those bandings, or the stomach band, or you get the liposuction, or this new stuff called cool sculpting. I guess I see commercials for it a lot now. But the vast majority of us do not go to a cosmetic physician or any other kind of doctor to change our skin color unless we have a skin condition. This is becoming a very normal procedure in the Eastern world, where people are doing this, and a lot of the technology that we're getting here. But now this is one of those things that that is not being led by American medical science. Believe it or not, a lot of the science behind, the medical science behind skin lightening so it doesn't cause cancer later on down the road is coming out of Asia, because this is where the big demand for it is. So I don't know, maybe Asians need to get to Asia. We need to export some of our liberals over to Asia to correct them on their leanings towards whiteness. Don't they know that it's evil? Don't they know that wanting to be white is viewed as being absolutely evil in this country? Speaking of evil, do you know what else is evil? And this might be one of the reasons why people are leaving the state of Illinois. An Elgin, Illinois man, which is a suburb of Chicago, was told to stop his so-called slumber parties for homeless during the cold, he says. And he says that he was threatened with having his property condemned if he didn't. Look, you don't get more, too much more liberal than Illinois. I mean, what are our big liberal states in the Union? California, New York, and probably in this order: California, New York. Although New York and California, they probably battle for the number one liberal position. But you have California, New York, then probably Massachusetts and Illinois. Some people say, well, then you can throw in New Jersey. Yeah, New Jersey can go either way. They've really become a lot more moderate. But Illinois is up there in the top 5 of most liberal states, because you got Washington State. I would say that Washington State is probably far more liberal than New Jersey. And you have Connecticut, too. I realize that. But again, I think Washington State is far more liberal than Connecticut. Believe it or not, what they do in Washington State is absolutely ridiculous. But here it is in Illinois, the state that is currently losing population faster than any other state in the union. In fact, they've lost so many people already that they've dropped from being the 5th most populous state to being the 6th most populous state. And yet these idiots out there, they don't get that the government there is the problem. It isn't lack of opportunity. Hell, they've got Chicago. And look at their location. They're very centralized as far as the country is concerned. And they're off of the Great Lakes. They've got a lot of economic potential and advantages. So that's not the problem. The problem is their governance. By the way, you only get the government that you vote for. So if people why would you abandon a state where you got the government that you voted for? They've been voting for this mess for decades. Why would people want to leave? If they keep voting for it, why would you leave it? Well, that's another question that needs to be answered for sure. But when we get back, I'll tell you the reason why they want to condemn it.
Listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, I'm Hillary Duff. As a mom, I'm proud to support the March of Dimes in helping more women have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. That's why I walk in March for Babies. The money we raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org. Together, we can help make healthier babies possible for thousands of families.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. Go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. There's one thing we're focused on, and that's beating this thing.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
America's wounded warriors are coming home. After serving on foreign shores, these brave men and women are returning to their families and communities. Many have wounds you can see, and many have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that these warriors are back home, they are ready to enter the civilian workforce. To help, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These extraordinary men and women bring proven world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork to the job. And to ensure the right warrior finds the right job, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right match. When you hire a wounded warrior, you hire an intelligent, talented, and committed new employee. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Asian people who evidently are fueling the industry over there, the cosmetic industry, with wanting to. Now, if you look at South Korea and Japan, there are over-the-counter products that promise to help lighten the skin and prevent sun tanning and all. We go crazy in this country for. With SPF and the sun cream, sunblock. Put sunblock on your kids every 5 minutes because you don't want them to absorb any of the sun's rays. No, even though the sun helps your body produce vitamin D and there are other beneficial aspects of actually letting the sun touch your skin, we try to hide from it or block it as much as possible with sunblock. We've got. I've seen, which is really kind of stupid, but I've seen SPF as high as 80. SPF 80, that's insane. But in any case, which is I think that's what they're probably doing in Japan and in South Korea. But they have these. Anybody remember from the 80s and 90s Pearl Cream? Yeah, I think it was eventually banned because it was false advertising or something here in the States. I think they got sued by the government and put out of business, or maybe I don't know. We stopped seeing it, but evidently they supposedly they actually put a fine powder of pearls in this cream, and that was supposed to help your skin, because everybody wonders how Asian skin, until they really get old, looks so gorgeous and very plasticky. I mean, it's like they don't have any pores. For so long. I mean, it's not just those in their those in their 20s and younger, but oftentimes if you look at some of these, especially the Asian women, into their 40s, without makeup, they look like they don't have any pores, which, Western women would die for that kind of look. But they spend that kind of money because they have over-the-counter products that will do all of this, will supposedly do all this stuff, including lighten their skin tone. It's huge business over there. Huge. And then when you get over here, you have the opposite. You have a bunch of people that are pale skinned, that hate themselves and hate everybody else that is, doesn't have permanent. It's kind of amazing. We got products running. We got people running around. White people are supposed to hate themselves, so you would think that they would want to go out there and try to get tanned, right? To darken themselves. No, they run around buying a bunch of products that keep them from getting tanner. more tan. I don't get it. The stupidity of it. But that's liberalism for you. It doesn't have to make any sense. You can't be proud of who you are unless you are of an approved sector of society. So in other words, if you're African American, oh yeah, you're allowed to be proud to be African American. Why? Well, because your ancestors you were once slaves. No, I was never a slave, but maybe some of my ancestors were. Yes, some of them, not all of them. Obviously, because I'm not just African. Hell, there's a part of... Do people realize that Native Americans also owned slaves back in the day? They did. The funny thing is that now the Cherokee Indians also at one point, some of them owned slaves. Now I'm part Cherokee. Now isn't that a pip? Some of my ancestors could have owned some of my other ancestors. Yeah, I'm just saying. So who am I supposed to hate? I'm also part French. That's where I get my last name from. No, the last name is actually, as far as I can tell, going back in history, checking my family tree, I've mentioned this before. As far as I can tell, it is not a given name. It's a natural name. So am I supposed to hate the French side of me? I know I'm probably supposed to be arrogant too, but I'm not that. But this is the liberal nonsense that we're getting. And most people in this country aren't even sure if they're supposed to be proud of their heritage. All these DNA people like Ancestry.com and me and 23 or you and 23 or whatever it is, they should probably be they should probably market their services. Find out if any part of you is white so you can know how to hate yourself. Seriously, that's how they should market themselves to the liberals. Liberals are probably trying to set up the equivalent of Christian missions to Asia so they can go over there and teach these people how to hate themselves. Or at least hate white people. Because liberals here in this country have lost their minds. They're still they're still touting global warming, even though we're in the middle of we're heading over 3 weeks now in this deep freeze in this country. By the time it's over, we will have been in an early deep freeze in this winter season for a month. And yet they're still claiming that we're supposed to, there's supposed to be ice out in the North Pole. Really, I still get people who are trying to argue with me about global warming. Look, these are recent, as in last week, NASA photographs that show that there's a record amount of ice. In other words, there's been more ice in the North Pole than there has been in the last 100 years. It's a record amount of ice. But they're still arguing with me, well, it's going to melt, it's going to melt. Well, it's not melting, it's forming. That's how idiotic these people are. Even when they have photographic proof, looking them right in the eye, look, this is just recent stuff. Last week, NASA took photos of the North Pole. And you know what? They take these measurements and they found, you know what NASA found out? Oh my God, there's a lot more ice than we've ever recorded before. Well, hello? But you still got a bunch of liberals who want to go ahead and say that, well, no, we've got to hate ourselves because we're human beings and we're destroying the planet, so we've got to do something to stop destroying the planet. Well, how about we actually do something that's actually worthwhile? There are some liberals and some conservatives out there who actually do take the message of Christ to heart and take the message of the Buddha to heart and try to help people. And then when they actually do it, instead of just talk about it, they get slapped and slammed and berated by those people who claim that they're open and caring. This guy out in Chicago, or Chicago suburb, Illinois. Now, I don't know if he's a liberal or not. He's in a very liberal state. But he was out there offering slumber parties in his basement for homeless people in his neighborhood during these past dangerously cold days. I mean, we're talking windy Chicago area. And I know the Windy City gets its name actually not for the wind that comes across Lake Michigan, but for the politicians that blew into town during a political convention all those years ago, and they call it a bunch of windbags, and the wind is blowing, and became the Windy City. You know, because the politicians were talking. They're blowing wind. But he has these so-called slumber parties where he takes homeless people in his area, in his neighborhood, and he helps shelter them from the cold because they're not doing it otherwise out there in Illinois land. So his township of Elgin, Elgin, told this guy he's got to stop the slumber parties or his house will be condemned. Now, evidently there's nothing wrong with his house. Remember we talked yesterday about regulations? It's not up to code. His house is not up to code in order to have these slumber parties. Evidently, your house has got to meet a certain code if you're going to have slumber parties. So anybody who has a daughter out in Chicago, you better check with your municipality first before your daughter has a slumber party to make sure that your house meets the so-called slumber party code, or else your house might be condemned. I'm not making this is reported out of Channel 5. It's what is it? NBC or is that CBS? CBS Channel 5 out of Chicago. Greg Schiller of Elgin said he began letting a group of homeless people sleep in his unfinished basement last month during brutally cold nights, offering them food, warm beverages, and a cot to sleep on while watching movies. In other words, he was trying to be his own little homeless shelter, not costing the public a dime. He wasn't going to the public saying, hey, donate to me, not using tax dollars, using his own money to buy them cots to sleep on, so they're not sleeping on the floor. They're sleeping on cots. He's giving them a hot meal or two, giving them warm beverages. I wonder if, he was giving them alcohol in that, hot toddies, or maybe some wassail, some spiked wassail for the holidays. Maybe he could have been doing that. And he was even providing entertainment. They were watching movies. He said, I would stay up all night with them and give them coffee and stuff and feed them. He also added that no drugs or alcohol were allowed inside his residence or on his property during the evening events. So if they wanted to do drugs, they had to leave. And they couldn't come back drunk or anything like that. He had his rules. And evidently, there are a bunch of, the homeless people love that he was doing this. But last winter, this is not his first go-around with this. Schiller offered his garage to area homeless last winter, but said he was told by Eglin that he could no longer do so after EMTs were called to help a man with a heart condition. So he sheltered people in his garage last year from the extreme cold. Somebody had a heart condition. In other words, the man got medical help because he was at this guy's home. If he was out wandering the street and had a heart condition, he probably would have just died, and you wouldn't even have heard about it. But he got medical attention because, hey, there were people around that cared. They called the EMTs. Now the EMTs are doing what they're doing. They're doing their job, and they report what happened. And so somebody from the town or city of Elgin decided, hey, nope, you can't do that in your garage. So he couldn't do it anymore in his garage. So that's when he had the idea to move them to his basement, complete with all the activities needed to consider them simply slumber party. I didn't know you had to have I guess there are legal government definitions for slumber parties. because he moved them into the basement, and he moved the entire operation into his basement, complete with all the activities needed to consider them to be simply slumber parties. However, Schiller believes city code allowed for slumber parties, but officials said there are sleeping regulations for basements, and Schiller's basement doesn't meet those requirements. So therefore, Schiller can't have slumber parties in his own house that he bought, that he pays for. He can't have them. Now, now, folks, this is Chicago. It's Chicagoland, Chicago area. Very liberal city. Here's a guy who is trying to help and save the lives of some homeless people, give them food, shelter, and entertainment, and you have a city that is saying, well, we have a slumber party code, and his house doesn't meet the slumber party code. I'm not making this up. They reported this on TV news in Chicago.
Hello, America. It's me, your history. I remember a time when we thumbed our nose in a king's face, sent him packing. And when fascists and emperors talked a little bit too loud, we showed up, tore their cities to the ground, and then rebuilt them just to prove we could. We put men on the moon, we won a Cold War, and we elected fearless leaders who led fearless people. What the hell happened to you, America? Back in my day, we didn't elect a big-eared community organizer. We punched him in the kidney. Maybe it's time you came home, America. Home where you belong.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This is Free America broadcasting on the Rod Eccles Show with a message to all patriots trapped behind the lines in California, New York, Boston, and Chicago. Don't give up, true lovers of America. Even as we speak, moves are being made to drive the invaders back to the land from which they came. Defeat the would-be dictators and lift the chains of tyranny from around your neck. Stay strong. Stay brave. You're not forgotten, and you're not alone. Until next time, patriots, this is Free America signing out.
Now, folks, you got to understand, I find it hilarious Well, it's not all that hilarious. As I railed earlier this week about overregulation and how Trump is getting rid of overregulation at the federal level, we still have to deal with it on a state and local level. No matter even in more conservative states, we still have an awful lot of rules, laws, and the interesting thing about it's all a law. It doesn't matter what they call it. They can call it a rule. They can call it a regulation. They can call it a stipulation. Whatever they call it, it is a law. Because if you break the regulation or the rule, you're going to be fined and or jailed. Just like a law. The only difference is that a law is actually, voted on and voted on by your representatives that you elect, your legislature, and then put into, and then signed into effect by your governor, or it is overridden, his veto is overridden by your elected representatives. Regulations are just a bunch of bureaucrats that get hired who don't have to go anywhere and just decide one day, well, we're just going to make this a rule. We're going to make this a regulation. There's no talking about it. There's no debating it. There's no chance of voting on it. They just issue the regulation. And you, by definition, you have to comply with that regulation. So, you got people who are telling you, well, okay, you can buy your house. Fine. But you know what? You don't get to do anything you want with your property within reason, and you don't really own it. What are you talking about? Well, because we have rules and regulations on your property. You can't invite people over to your house because you don't meet the standards that we're setting to have slumber parties. Well, why do I need a specific just a bunch of people getting together to have a party? There are places in this country where by local regulation, they have made it illegal for people to have weekly Bible study classes in their homes. You know this to be true. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. You got a bunch of, and it used to be that we used to talk about, there was this anti-Bugs Bunny movement, not too long ago. And people would say it was a bunch of, gray-haired grandmas who had nothing better to do. Well, the gray-haired grandma movement has definitely moved into every other aspect of our lives, not just Saturday morning cartoons, of which now there aren't any Saturday morning cartoons. Anybody notice that? Yeah, the gray-haired grannies have won. We don't have Saturday. Sometimes I get up early on a Saturday morning. I don't know why I'm up early, but I'll just, want to be a kid and eat some cereal and watch cartoons. There are no cartoons. Then, I don't know. Maybe I might be breaking some regulations by eating breakfast in front of the TV. I mean, my house may not meet the regulations for having, it might be construed as a bed and breakfast if I do that. And I probably don't meet the standards of a bed and breakfast if I eat, cereal in front of the TV with no cartoons on a Saturday morning. You think I'm making this stuff up, folks? I mean, come on. I'm not. That's the problem. The problem is that almost every single American knows that I'm not making it up, but we put up with it anyway. You want to help the homeless? Yeah, just don't do it in Chicago unless you spend thousands of dollars to make sure your house lives up to their standards of whatever a slumber party a building is supposed to look like.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show. Let truth be told. Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm a leftist elite Hollywood a-hole? If so, good news. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College is now open, featuring such courses as unemployment is not paid vacation. No, Americans don't want to spend $19 for an order of French fries, and the ever popular shut the hell up. Why, just listen to this big-time celebrity endorsement.
I'm not Rosie O'Donnell, and I think this school's offensive, sexist, and racist.
And I think you're a giant a-hole who needs to shut the hell up. Hey, we teach a course in that. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College, where being an a-hole is not a guarantee you'll be an A student.
And now, a message from the American Migraine Foundation.
It's an absolute nightmare. I was terrified. It was like your head's going to explode.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
Just all of a sudden couldn't see.
Migraine has ruined my life.
Absolutely terrifying.
There's pain that does not stop.
It's a throbbing, pulsing, banging, hammering feeling in your head.
36 million Americans suffer.
I started getting migraines around 5 years old.
Just takes over everything.
I feel trapped by migraine. It hurts like my head's gonna fall off.
And the whole world around you stops.
My world has gotten small.
You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
I had spent a year housebound. It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Visit AmericanMigraineFoundation.org to find help, learn more, and get connected.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. But most people don't know they are infected. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you can still have hepatitis C, a serious liver disease that often has no symptoms. In fact, people can live with hepatitis C for decades without feeling or looking sick. But over time, hepatitis C can cause serious health problems, including liver damage, liver failure, or even liver cancer. Getting tested is the only way to know if you're infected with hepatitis C. That's why the CDC recommends everyone born from 1945 to 1965 get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments are available that can cure this disease. So talk to your doctor about getting tested. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. And liberty lovers across the globe, even those of you who might be in Asia who are currently sitting down or laying down, getting your private part lightened. Well, they use the term whitened, as in they use these forms of small lasers, like you would go in to get your teeth whitened. Evidently, Thai men are. For those of you who don't know what Thai, not Taiwan, as in Thai, that would be not Thai, that would be Taiwanese. Or Chinese, because Taiwan is considered by the Chinese to be part of China. But from Thailand. Evidently, Thai men from Thailand go in to get their penis whitened like Americans would go in to get their teeth whitened at their dentist. I'm just saying. That's the news. So, take it for what it's worth, I suppose. I can't imagine what that would look like. I wonder if it hurts. I mean, it would seem to me, it's a very sensitive area. It seemed to me like it would hurt. But they haven't learned that they're supposed to hate whiteness. Yeah, evidently, it has not gotten over there into Eastern Asia, where that they're supposed to hate white people. Well, from what I understand, it is pretty similar over there to the way it is here in the black community. Now, understand this. Blacks discriminate against other blacks. If you were too dark, you're ostracized in the black community. If you are African black and your skin is charcoal colored, you're literally black. Oh no, you're ostracized. Oh yeah, you're made fun of in the black community, called black ghost, and there are all kinds of awful names that kids and young adults are called if they're too black. There's no love for people who are too black, and as a matter of fact, in our society here in this country, blacks themselves, who are you supposed to hate white people? Blacks themselves often try to make themselves more white. Now, we don't go to the lengths of lightening our skin, but if you look at what we considered to be beauty in the black community, who are they? They're usually men and women who are what? Half white. One of their parents is white. So they tend to have a much lighter skin tone. And their hair is nowhere. I mean, People ask me all the time, well, geez, you got this beautiful. What do you do to your hair? Nothing. Well, why isn't it like everybody? Well, it's because I'm also part Cherokee and part French, so I'm just not African. But it's a huge industry in this. All these black women, over 90% of African American women straighten their hair. Why? If we're supposed to embrace blackness and hate whiteness. So we're no different than Asians wanting to lighten their skin or body parts. And oftentimes you get Asians that color their hair too to a lighter, you can't get much darker than Asian hair, but they bleach their hair too. You ever see the blonde Asians? They do. It's just ridiculous. So when this is a phenomenon that it obviously is not just limited to Southeast or Northeast Asia. It's not. I mean that may be why some people hate the European white person, because the entire world seems to have this base or core of beauty. You have to be white or look white or white features or what have you. I don't think that's true, but some cultures obviously do find that to be true. I find it interesting that you got a lot of white people that adopt cultures and looks and desires other. Remember back in the 70s when white people like Greg Brady went out and got those perms? That was a big thing back then, wasn't it? I suppose that would be white people hating being. Everybody wants to be somebody else. It seems like, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's just it. We all look at somebody. We look at the grass is always greener on the other side. Is that the case? When it comes to this, hey, we've got. There are, believe it or not, there are white people, and again, this is on the West Coast. As far as Asians wanting to have more, Caucasian features, there is a growing number of Caucasians on the West Coast who are also going and having plastic surgery to look more Asian. I'm not. So I guess it's just the grass is greener on the other side. Everybody wants to. Evidently, people want to look like something that they're not. For whatever reason, they find it more attractive. I don't know. So Asians find white people more attractive, and white people are finding Asians more attractive, or black people. They're finding them more because they go out and get tan so they can be as dark as an African American, or they get the perms so they have the curly, kinky hair like African Americans. Meanwhile, African Americans are touting the lighter side of their community because all the beautiful people like Beyonce and people like that, they tend to have a lighter skin tone, and they all straighten their hair if it isn't already straight. And they tend to color it and lighten it so it looks, more Caucasian-like than African-American-like. The only thing African-Americans aren't doing is they're not going out getting, bleaching treatments for their skin. But they might, unless you're Michael Jackson. So, and then you have a bunch of white people who pretend to be black people. Just the what's it, Sean King? Who's the female version? Rachel Dolezal. Yeah, Rachel Dolezal. Wasn't she a black woman too? And now we've got now there's no longer any disparity with that kind of stuff. Now you are transracial. So black people can be trans white or trans Asian, and white people can be trans black or trans Asian, and Asians can be trans white. I don't know any Asians that want to be black, but we do have a term for Asians who do get together with blacks and have babies. They're called Blasians. There's a couple of models, male and female supermodels that are Blasian. One of their parents is, Tiger Woods is Blasian. His mom is Japanese, I do believe. You know who else is a Blasian? Everybody's loving the duo, the husband and wife duo, which announced that they're pregnant again with their fifth child. The Gaineses from Fixer Upper. Yeah, her mom is Japanese. her mom is off the boat Japanese, to use that term. She's a Japanese immigrant, and her dad is white. And no, her parents are too young for them to have met during World War II. But her mom is Japanese. Her dad is white, Caucasian. So she's not a Blasian because her dad is not black. So what do they call it? If you're white in Asian? I thought, because when I first saw her, I thought she was Native American because she's from the Texas area. I thought she might be Apache or something. Nope. Japanese. Half Japanese. And she's even admitted that when she was growing up, she had problems with her Japanese half. And it wasn't until she became an adult and met her current husband, Chip, that she began to embrace her Japanese and love her Japanese half. That's sad. When you actually grow up hating half of yourself. That's just sad. Because you don't fit what somebody says is the standard of beauty of the day. And that always changes. Now remember that the 70s and 80s, what was the standard of beauty? Blonde hair, blue eyes. Although, that is still a standard. It is not the key beauty now. The key beauty marker is a brunette, male or female, dark hair. Dark hair with blue eyes, or dark hair with green eyes, or even dark hair, brown eyes. That's now the new beauty standard. That's the late 90s into the 2000s. Blondes don't have more fun anymore. Just saying. So this is, people just need to really look at themselves. What are we really doing? Are we helping other people by adopting these ever-changing standards? Now a lot of this stuff doesn't come from the conservative right. Just saying. A lot of this stuff comes out of what we call the music industry or Hollywood, and people adopt it. So who's perpetuating this stuff? Well, mostly liberals. Who's perpetuating the self-hatred? Mostly liberals. Remember when girls were starting to have all these eating disorders because, you had all these actresses and singers that were, and models that were ungodly thin? Well, who perpetuated that? It wasn't a bunch of hefty Republican women. Just saying. I'm just saying. No, personally, I think Joanna Gaines is a very attractive woman. Now, from a guy talking about another guy, I really don't think Chip Gaines, her husband, is all that attractive, but Joanna is. And she obviously finds him very attractive, so that's all that counts, really. But and they do amazing work too. I mean, it's one of my mother's favorite shows on HGTV. But they're calling it quits. I can see why now. She's pregnant. They're about to have a baby. Number 5. I think their oldest is what is he? 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. That's insane. 5 kids. Do you realize that if you have 2 kids, you're outnumbered? Well, I mean, even in a 2-parent household, because a child can be 2 people. So if you have 2 kids, you actually have 4 people in 4 little people in your house. Basically, you're running after, and there are people that still have 3 and 4 kids. You have 5, you're insane. Now, trust me, I do not advocate abortion at all. But I'm just saying, if you have 5 kids, you're insane. People just don't do the big families all that much anymore. And you know where else they don't necessarily do big families anymore? Now, Asian families are except for China, when they had to institute the 1 child per couple rule, which they recently, over the past few years, dropped that regulation because it wasn't working, obviously. And it caused more problems than it solved in China. So they abandoned, again, government regulation. Somebody just said one day, hey, too many people are being born in this country, so we're going to limit under force of law that people can only have one child. And it didn't work. They ended up with more problems. They created more problems than they were actually trying to solve. It didn't even solve their population explosion problem, actually. That's the problem that they were trying to solve. But they created, a bunch more problems other than that. And they didn't solve any problem, but they created a bunch more, which is why they finally ended up dropping it. But Asians tend to have, some Asian countries they still tend to have rather large families. There are some Asian countries where they just can't have large families, like Japan. Typically, is much like the USA. Families typically have one or two kids only because they can't afford more. Really, I mean, that's what it comes down to, economics. But you still have, Southeast Asian countries that tend to have more than two kids because it's, economically it's more feasible, and two, it's necessary for survival. You get into Vietnam, people still have 3, 4, 5 kids because economically speaking, it's more survivable of the family unit if there are more kids that grow up to have more kids that grow up to have more. You get the deal. And that works its way all across Southeast Asia. Cambodia, Laos, Thailand. Sure, they're even India. Now, sure, they're not having 10 kids. They're not having 10 kids now. They're having a lot fewer kids, but they're still bigger than the so-called nuclear family, which, the average is 2-point-something children? But there are some countries where either by government fiat, like China, says you'll only have one kid, or by economic standards, simply because they can't afford to have more than two, like South Korea. And it's actually getting expensive to live in South Korea. And Japan is like living. Much of Japan is like living in San Francisco or New York City or parts of Chicago. It's just expensive, and it gets hard to afford because they're all about education. Sending your kid to school in some of these countries is not, regular school is not all that cheap, and they're big on education. Go to university and study something, and do something that's useful. You can't study like something like art, because that's terrible. You can't go to the university, the state-run University of Art, because how are you going to make a living doing art? But learn engineering, or they're big on this stuff over there. Huge. Even if you're just going to be a construction worker, you got to go to government college. Be an engineer. They got more engineers that are swinging hammers over there in Japan than any place else on the planet. That's what it is. That's the culture. And it's too expensive to have more than 2 kids to look after to do that with. So it's that has its own self-limiting factor. But Asia is influencing us in other ways. Even in China, where they only have, even though they for a very long period of time they had a 1 child per family household, a family unit, 1 child. But that didn't stop them from growing, did it? And it didn't keep them from having the world's largest standing army, or the world's largest flying air force, and soon to be the world's largest floating navy. Wait till you hear what they're about to do with that military.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
I've been utilizing Gab more starting at the beginning of this year, Gab.ai versus Twitter, although I think it's connected to Twitter, so whatever I post over there in Gab, it automatically gets posted on Twitter. Still think it's connected. Having a conversation, a Gab fest, if you will, with a gentleman, I do believe he's a gentleman, over there who is, I come to realize something. It's about Islam. There is a scholarly Islamic leader in Islam that says that this was in the news earlier this week, and he said that radical Islamists and others in Islam have misinterpreted the virgin terminology in martyrs will get 72 virgins or whatever the number is if they fight and die in the cause of Allah. And he says it's misinterpreted and it's mistranslated. The real word is raisin. Now, I myself find that very difficult that they would misinterpret 70 vestal raisins for virgins. But then again, I don't know the vernacular of the day when this was written, what they were referring to. That's all important. The problem with the part of this gentleman who is saying, well, he was giving me all this scholarly, backup. Well, this is what they say. This is what I said. You know what? Look, I don't care either way. But here's the problem with either. And I took him to tasking. Well, you must be an Islamic sympathizer, but he's probably not. But the problem is that people don't want to believe something different. It's the same thing in Christianity, where we're often taught by scholarly people and pastors and reverends and fathers and priests, all over the place. They teach us that the Bible says that, quote, money is the root of all evil. And that is not the actual and literal translation of that statement at all. It's not. It's far from it. Now, here's the actual literal translation, as best we can translate from the Hebrew and the Greek. A love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Notice how different it is when you say that versus money is the root of all evil. Now, maybe raisins does it in their vernacular did have something to do with virgins. I don't know. But it changes the whole connotation. Even if it does have anything to do with virgins, it changes the whole connotation. Much like when you change the connotation of what money really is and how it's used by just changing a few words or dropping a few words or adding a few words. You got to be careful with translations, people. Seriously.
Dad, we need to talk.
Can we just enjoy the drive?
If you're not going to listen to me, who will we listen to?
Jeffrey. Marcia Gay Harden, what?
Eyes on the road, Dad.
What are you doing? What are you doing in my back seat? How did you get in here?
You're getting older.
Not that old.
Your brain's changing. It's natural.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Honey, I've got experience with this. Jeffrey, brain health is all about making the most of your brain as you age and helping to reduce some of the risks to your brain.
Really? Now that's interesting.
So, you'll talk to her about this, but not me. Marcia Gay Harden? Where did she go?
Learn what you can do to help keep your brain healthy at brainhealth.gov. She didn't say goodbye. I mean, I would have. Visit brainhealth.gov.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? What's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents, which leads to millions killed in shelters each year. Turns out, those little cuties can get pregnant sooner than you think. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. When you bring home a pet, get them fixed at 4 months old. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late, we stay informed, we invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Hi, this is Kelsey Grammer. When military service members head into battle, none are expected to face the enemy alone, but many return home and become isolated as they struggle with the visible and invisible wounds of war. It can be difficult knowing how to overcome that challenge and rekindle bonds similar to those formed in the military. Wounded Warrior Project supports these injured veterans through their recoveries by connecting them with fellow warriors and their communities. No one should fight this battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
A number of different things that people have to consider. This is one of the things that I try to be careful with, and it is in trying to bring together the different types of cultures, not just the cultures that we have today, but the cultures of times gone by. And this is how we often, wars often get started because of we have the term lost in translation. When people misinterpret words or meanings or cultures, it can lead to war, and it has. And but we also have to understand that we have people that purposefully misinterpret or translate certain things. In other times, it's typically typically by accident. There was no malice intended; it just got misinterpreted. And that happens a lot when we try to do things over eons of time. And if you're talking about biblical scholarly thought, and you're looking at, or you're trying to translate original text in any religion, the problem comes about is when we start looking at, and we do this today a lot without even thinking about it. When you translate, oftentimes you think about things in today's vernacular, with today's meanings, today's standards, today's thought process, and we give no thought to what it might have been like back then when it was first written. I mean, do you know at one point today we look at fruitcake as being something that nobody wants. It's that gift that keeps on giving. Nobody wants fruitcake. They use it as a paperweight. But at one point that fruitcake was considered to be a delicacy and a wonderful gift. So when we see people talking about fruitcake that was written way back when, and we view it in today's standard, we think about, well, why the hell would they want fruitcake, man? Well, back then it was delicious, it was delectable, it was a delicacy, and it was considered to be a grand gift if you gave somebody a fruitcake as a gift. You thought highly of them. But we view it today and think, well, that's kind of a cheap gift, man. Fruitcake, really? It didn't used to be. But you take that simple example just with stupid fruitcake, and now you translate it into religion, and now you see where we can run into all kinds of problems. The problem is that we not only do we have people that purposely misinterpret religious texts like that, and purposely mislead people, we also have people that claim they want to know the truth, but they don't want to change the vernacular or the meaning of the translated word. I don't know if they actually meant to say raisins instead of virgins. There's, I'm seeing an argument for the real translation to be raisin. But we have too many people that don't, on both sides of this issue, that don't want that to be corrected or changed. If it's misinterpreted. I find that interesting. At the same time, when we talk about going to war, well, how do we get to war? Because people misinterpret each other? Oftentimes, yes. Sometimes by accident or just by the natural processes of life, and sometimes it's done on purpose. And it's hard for us to figure this out because we don't have a media anymore that really wants to let us know, try to dig and get the truth. In fact, when it's out there, because they have their own agenda, they want to hide it. Now, hiding something that is truthful is oftentimes very dangerous. And this is what I mentioned earlier when people, you have certain types of people, and we have stories about this, that they're willing to destroy themselves in order to destroy their so-called enemy. The problem is that just like in the movies, often in real life, when an evil person tries to destroy good people, and they're willing to destroy themselves in order to do so, they oftentimes only destroy themselves. And they just only affect, but do not destroy the good people. And I gave the example of, Lion King. Disney is replete with this kind of story. And we see it all the time in certain kinds of, adventure movies where the bad guy is, the bad guy should know that he's defeated. But he just won't stop. Because his hatred for the good person or the hero is so high, is so strong that it blinds them to their own destruction. And they end up dying or destroying themselves. And not the hero. Well, that's real life stuff. That's just not fiction. Unfortunately. And this is what the news is turned into, that their hatred for Donald Trump. It's like I've never seen their hate. We have there were times when people thought that the press just totally completely hated Ronald Reagan. That may have been true, but there has never, in a time in American history, where we've had a large group of people, such as the media, who have had such a hatred for a single individual, ever. Now, you can say, well, Ronald Reagan? No. Abraham Lincoln during the Civil? No. We've never had it. And these people are hating on him so bad that they will ignore all other important and pertinent news, even if it means their own destruction to do so. And I bring this up because what we have that is not being reported. Everybody wants to talk about Donald Trump is, taunting Kim Jong-un with the button thing. But what they're not reporting is the rest of the world and how they're dealing with this guy. It's not good, folks. You got to go offshore in order to find this stuff. And here from the dailystar.co.uk, as well as some other news outlets in Europe, from the British Isles and from Europe, war is looking like it's going to happen on the Korean Peninsula. And not because of Donald Trump. The rest of the world doesn't see Trump as the problem. According to the news from offshore, the rest of the world sees the problem as being Kim Jong-un. Even China sees the problem as Kim Jong-un. This is not being reported here in the USA. Kim Jong-un, over the New Year holiday celebration, gave a speech to his military and told his military to prepare for war. Where is this being reported in the USA? China has just been given the go-ahead by their own president to prepare for war. You normally go through your normal games of preparing for war. You practice for war. You got war games. We do it. Everybody does it. But we don't have a leader that tells us prepare for war. Unless we are actually going to war. Nobody does. Sure, you get the little, Banana Republic dictators that always pound the rifles and rattle their swords. Yeah, we're going to go to war. We're going to war with the big guy. And it's like David versus Goliath type of thing. No. You have Goliath. You have Goliath, the world's largest standing army and flying air force. Their leader, their commander-in-chief, just told them that there probably is no peaceful solution out of this. Prepare for war. And frankly, the news is saying he's not referring to war with the United States. He's saying prepare for war with North Korea. You realize that China has already moved over 100,000 soldiers to its border with North Korea. We're not being told this here in the USA. Do you understand how earth-shattering this is? Do you understand how problematic this is? Now understand, Russia is finding itself in a very difficult position now. That one of their allies is Iran. Iran is going through some severe troubles right now. Of its own making, of its own doing. It has nothing to do with the rest of the planet, really. The Iranian regime has nobody to blame but themselves for their current internal turmoil. Although they'd like to blame other people, really, it is all their own fault. And this would have happened even if there was if there was absolutely zero external influence at all. It has nothing to do with Saudi Arabia, the USA, or anybody else. This is an internal thing. It was going to happen. It already happened once before, but it was going to happen again, and it is happening. And Russia also sees that Trump allowed the U.S. military just to totally decimate ISIS. They were in Syria to try to fight the rebels and ISIS to help the Syrian Assad. Now, understand this, folks. Understand the dynamics that are going on here. The United States, with Donald Trump, just said, you know what? Let's stop pussyfooting around. The military's job is to kill people and break things. So go ahead, kill the enemy and break things and report back to me when you've done it. And he's turned his generals loose. They changed the rules of engagement. And evidently they've done such if you want to call it wonderful, they're reporting, and this is not just the U.S. reporting this. The fighting is dying down because over 70,000 ISIS members are dead. They're gone. Dead. Buried. And the only real threat left to Syrian Assad right now is the rebels, in which the United States supposedly backs. And at this point in time, guess who doesn't want to mess with that? Yeah, right, Putin. So now that the common enemy is gone, ISIS, Putin is saying, well, you know what? I've got other problems in other parts of the world. I've got the United States giving the Ukraine real equipment, military equipment. Well, that's a threat to me. And I got this jack-off over there that's supposed to be my ally in North Korea who's just gone off a deep end. And Russia is actually moving military equipment towards its border, its far eastern border. Why? Well, because you've got China massive. Well, guess who meets in that part of the world? Russia, China, Korea. Well, China's got 100,000 troops over there. Do you think Putin is going to let that go unanswered? China and Russia still aren't exactly friendly. They're not allies. They're more friendly than they used to be, but they're not allies. Do you let this happen? No. You're going to have to somehow counter. And this could get out of hand real fast. I mean, you just get one misguided missile goes the wrong way, and before you know it, you got all-out war. Now, picture this, folks. This is not being reported here in this country because of the hatred for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is pounding his desk, calling Kim Jong-un every name in the book. And they're all, that's not presidential. Bullshit on the presidential crap. Let's just say Kim Jong-un makes the wrong move. Fires off a missile. His test missile. Looks like it's actually going towards and going to hit, an allied territory like Japan or South Korea. U.S. goes to shoot it down. For some reason, the result is that North Korean missile lands in Chinese territory. What do you think China's going to do? Well, they may go and attack North Korea, or they may blame the U.S. Either case, it's a war that we didn't intend. And then if they go in, China goes in and crosses the border. Any little skirmish that even comes close to the Russian border, what do you think the Russians are going to do? Oh, yeah, well, they're going to fire too. And before you know it, you've got the three superpowers of the planet fighting in a small territory, and that can easily escalate. Because guess what? If the United States, China, and Russia are fighting in Korea, do you think the rest of the world where they also are or is going to be safe? There's not. Oh no, we're only going to fight over here. No, it's war. You're a U.S. naval vessel on the open seas. You're at war with China. You see a Chinese vessel in the open seas that isn't even in the Pacific. Let's say they're in the Atlantic. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to attack them. This kind of stuff is not being reported in this country, folks. Why? And this is earth-shattering, earth-changing. Only simply because we have a media that is left-leaning in this country, and their hatred for Trump outweighs everything else, even to the point of their own potential self-destruction.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
A couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said, "I'll bet you're a Nazi." Well, I love America, support the Constitution, and believe in capitalism. So I told him I'm not a Nazi, and I'm not. So what happens? The punk breaks out 2 windows and pepper sprays an elderly woman in the face. You know, there's one thing about long-haired young people nowadays. They're real assholes. Long-haired young people, you suck.
Being lost in translation and getting things mixed up. Now, you know, if you're an avid listener to this program, you know that I just don't get my information from one source. Multiple sources. And as with anything else, I have multiple sources, foreign sources for this for Xi Jinping's order to his military. Now, here's the deal, though. In one particular source, it says that Xi Jinping ordered his forces to prepare for the event of war. In another source, it's saying that Xi Jinping ordered his forces to prepare for war. Now, you might not think that there's a difference there, but there is. There's a huge difference. One is translating him as saying, well, be prepared in case war comes to our doorstep, that we're ready. In another version, it basically says, be prepared. There's going to be war, and we're going. There 2 different things there, is it not? Now, I do believe that Xi Jinping, does he speak Mandarin? I think he speaks Mandarin. Doesn't matter. I don't speak Chinese, either version. Either dialect. So I don't know what the translation really is, so I have to depend on somebody else. And we can't even get people in this day and age to agree on a translation. Is something as simplistic as you think that would be? It's very important, but you think they'd want to be as accurate as possible. But they can't. Why? Because there's some personal agenda going on there. Now, one news outlet, very respectable news outlet, is reporting that be prepared in an event in case there is war. Prepare for the event of war, just in case war comes. We want to make sure that we're ready for it. In another version, it says that the translation, what he said was, be prepared because we're going to war. There's no doubt we're going. Those are 2 totally different meanings. So how could one man say one thing and people get it so different? Because it gets lost in translation. And because some people have an agenda. Just like those who don't like Donald Trump, they have an agenda. So what are they going to tell us the complete and honest and total truth? I don't think so. So how are we going to know what the truth is? Sometimes it's hard to tell, which is why you have to do your research and find this stuff out. And sometimes when you do that, you still don't know the absolute truth. Is China going to go to war, or are they just preparing? In either case, we're not reporting it.
It was just another quiet Saturday at the Johnson home.
Honey, have you seen the hammer?
It's in the garage.
Oh, no, not the garage.
Later that same day...
Dad, I can't find the bicycle pump.
Son, I'm afraid it's in the garage.
The garage?
Then the following Tuesday...
Howard, where's the car?
It's in the garage.
Does your garage look like a giant yard sale without the yard? Do you cringe at the thought of entering your garage? Then you need Crest Garage Cabinets. With one phone call, those wonderful folks at Crest will come out to your home, design the best combination of cabinets for you, and install them quickly and professionally before your very eyes.
It's a miracle.
And unlike other companies who ask for a down payment or money up front, you won't pay a penny until your Crest cabinets are installed to your satisfaction. So call Crest today, toll-free at 1-800-548-2848. That's 1-800-548-2848. And you'll never fear going into your garage again.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals, because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late. We stay informed. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one. Together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. and another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event!
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Ecclesiastites all across the globe as we barrel on into this third hour. You know, it is we're being hit with another global warming storm up here in northern New England this morning. For those of you who are not familiar with what that term is, let me translate it for you so it does not get lost in translation. It means it's a snowstorm. And it's, well, this is a cold snap that has engulfed much of the country. Now, you know what I find fascinating is the other day, when we here in New England, especially, we were getting hit with, frigid record cold temperatures, below zero is some places. Well, I know here in my own. The greater Concord, it got as low as, at the height of this, or the depth of this ridiculous frigid weather, minus 15 degrees below zero. And they had the nerve to try to point out, in order to preserve and protect this climate change crap and global warming crap, did you know that while it was minus 15 degrees in the Concord area, that there were some places in Alaska where it was 50. As if that's never happened before. Since when is weather uniform across the country? It never is. Well, it is now. It seems to be pretty. This is about as uniform as you can possibly get. I mean, it's potentially snowing down there in Florida. It doesn't, and They act like this is an event that never happens until you hear the newscaster, the weather girls down there in Florida. Yeah, we're going to get some snow. We could get snow down here in northern parts of Florida, northern the Florida Panhandle. We haven't seen snow like this in 30 years. Wait, 30 years? Isn't that in the same time frame that they were telling us we were having global warming in the past 30 years? Yeah, it is. So it's not as if Florida has never gotten snow before. They just haven't gotten significant amounts of it in 30 years. Really? All you got to do is just listen to these people. And you ever see the memes on, or not? Well, yeah, the memes on Twitter when they catch Democrats in a lie. Well, some of the more famous ones include Chuck Schumer. Just a few years ago, Chuck Schumer was talking about, we need to control our borders better. And now when Trump wants to do it, but that's racist. You can't control the borders now. When he was the one that was, saying that we probably should do something about the borders. And you get Democrats doing the same all over the place. And now there's a meme out there, I guess, that's taking Nancy Pelosi at her word. That's dangerous to do, by the way, taking Nancy Pelosi at her word, because you never know what this woman's going to say now. But evidently, there's a meme going on out there that has Nancy Pelosi being quoted as saying that Donald Trump's tax cuts are allowing people to keep more of their money, which is robbing resources from the federal government. Excuse me? Allowing people to keep their money is robbing the federal government of resources to do whatever Democrats want to do. All you got to do is just wait for these people to hang themselves. And the problem is that the lamestream media just won't report it. They'll cover it up or make some, snide remark that it's Trump's fault. Somehow it's Trump's fault. Yeah, they'll bring it back to Trump. They always do. And this program will tell you the truth. I have told you before, folks, on this program, I have told you time and time again that Democrats believe that all money belongs to the government and that they are just being generous by allowing you to keep some. And lo and behold, we have a quote from Nancy Pelosi that says just that. She actually said it. And somebody made a meme of it, but she actually said it. And here, I've been telling you this for years. And now we got a Democrat that actually lets it slip that that's actually what they believe. Honestly, sometimes, folks, I sit back and I look at my computer and I wonder why I'm not bigger than Rush Limbaugh. Because even Rush doesn't talk a lot about this kind of stuff. He doesn't. I listen to him almost every day, and he doesn't. Although I do, there have been times when I have noted that Rush has talked about things exactly the same way that I just got finished talking about. And it's not like highly popular subjects either. Yeah, the highly popular subjects, everybody's going to talk about the highly popular subject. But sometimes it's, wait, it's not a highly popular subject, and I just said what Rush just said. Now, I'm not accusing him of plagiarizing, because I'm sure Rush himself does not listen to this program. It would be kind of cool if he did, though. I'd consider it to be I'd be highly flattered if he did. Would be kind of cool. But I just find it interesting that sometimes you get some of these big guys that say exactly what a lot of us so-called little guys out here have said. And they're saying it right after we say it. And not on the big popular subjects either, which is if it's a big popular subject, then you can expect everybody to say probably the same thing. But when it's a less popular subject that nobody else talks about, and they say it that way, makes you kind of wonder who's feeding them the lines. Honestly. And then I know somebody say, "Oh, Rod's all full of himself." No, I'm thinking that Rush Limbaugh listens to this. No, I just said I don't think that he does. But I believe maybe he's got a fairly large staff, believe it or not. I believe some people on his staff do. Just like I believe that some people on the staff listen to multiple different alternative, smaller programs. Make no mistake, they do. The big guy himself isn't listening. Like Sean Hannity doesn't have time to listen to the different people, but his staff does. And they're the ones that are bringing him a lot of the stories and information, especially the smaller stuff that everybody else isn't talking about. I know how it works. I've seen it work in action. Not with Rush's show. I've never been behind the scenes at Rush's show, but I've seen how all this works out. I've seen it happen in person. I know it when somebody has a staff and they're able to do this kind of. I've seen it happen. So don't doubt me on this stuff. In any case, the U.S. private sector has added 250,000 jobs in December versus an estimated 190,000. That 190,000 was estimated, but it actually added 250,000 jobs in December. Trump's December, by the way. And this is being reported by CNBC. And trust me, the way they wrote this, the way they're reporting this, is they're trying every possible measure that they can think of not to give credit to Trump. I'm just saying, they are. Private sector job creation surged in December as a strong holiday shopping season pushed companies to hire more workers, according to the reports earlier today. And according to ADP and Moody's Analytics, companies hired 250,000 new workers to close out the year, well above Wall Street expectations of only 190,000. The month was the best for job creation since March and topped the 185,000 in November, a number that was revised lower by some 5,000 because they originally reported 109. Now, notice, it was only 5,000. How many times did we get revisions that were many times that under Obama? And we created 200,000 jobs this month, and then we get a revised report, a few weeks later. Now it was only 120,000. Nobody reported on the revised number. But now they're reporting revised numbers on Trump, though. Yeah, it wasn't 190,000 in November. It was only 185,000. Just saying. The total brought 2017's private payroll growth, as gauged by ADP and Moody's, to over 2.5 million new jobs, which averaged out to be over 212,000 new jobs per month under Trump. The job growth was broad-based as professional and business services led the way with 72,000 new positions. The education and health services sector was 50,000, over 50,000. Trade and transportation and utilities contributed over 45,000. And Wall Street-related payrolls grew by 19,000. You know what you don't see mostly of? Small sector, fast food service, minimum wage jobs. All of those jobs, a lot of those jobs, the vast majority of those jobs were good, solid, middle and upper middle class wage paying jobs. Amazing, isn't it? The information services sector was the only one to lose jobs, reporting a drop of 4,000. Information sector, that means the news organizations, the media. The media was the only sector of the economy, the job economy, that reported a drop in total employment for the year. Now, it was only 4,000 jobs were lost, total net jobs were lost in the media, but it's the only sector that you got to wonder why. Again, you can't make this stuff up, folks. Now, I wonder if they're going to blame Obama for that. Well, They're trying to say that this economy is not due to Trump. All this job growth is not due to Trump. Well, if that's the case, then is it if all this job growth is due to Obama policies, then is it also not true that you people in the media lost nearly 5,000 net jobs in the year because of Obama's policies? I'm beside myself with this one. I find it fascinating.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Yes, love hurts. It can hurt emotionally, but more important, it can also hurt you physically. It can hurt you in a way which nobody who owns a hot tub and lives in California can afford to be unaware of. Yes, I'm talking about California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. This painful, incurable disease can make an enjoyable soak in a hot tub with family, friends, and dog into a literally unforgettable experience. If you catch California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, not only will you walk around feeling like you're about to pass a twisted sardine can lid, you'll also smell like a pile of burning tractor tires. So don't jump out of the frying pan and into the hot tub, because if you get California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, it'll really burn your ass.
This has been a public service message brought to you by the Citizens Against CHTRG Foundation. California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. We're not going to take it sitting down.
To be a rap, I would have to be like, it just seems to me like I would have to do something that's a bust a rhyme, talking really fast, how busted, and Ludacris, there are times that Ludacris does, they talk or they rap really fast. It just seems to me that would be appropriate for that particular bumper. Hey, if anybody has any lyrics they want to do, we can do it. It has to be fast though. Has to be something that's Christian leaning though. Any case, speaking of Christian leaning, well, I don't know, maybe this isn't actually Christian leaning, but everybody's talking about Bannon. Bannon losing his mind. Bannon, you get a book that is written by an anti-Trumper, a never-Trumper, and then Bannon says, well, look what they did, that's treason. Meeting with Russians is not treason. This happens all the time. Private citizens and transition administration talk with foreign diplomats all the time. There's nothing treasonous about it. Doesn't mean that there's any collusion, which, by the way, is not illegal. Collusion in and of itself, the definition of collusion in and of itself is not illegal, and it's not treasonous. Remember, folks, now, why do we keep forgetting this? Barack Hussein Obama did more to try to unseat a duly elected official of another country, of an ally, Israel, than Putin did to help Donald Trump. I mean, this is, and let's face it, looking at, we got this intel yesterday from Agent 0010. Who do you think, after knowing all of this, who do you think Putin would really have in office? Trump, who is defying him everywhere on the planet, or Hillary Clinton, who claims that she gave Putin a reset button and things are all friendly and hunky-dory and cozy now? Well, yeah, he would. Folks, I told you he would have gone with Clinton. There was no way in hell that he was going to go with Trump. None. But hey, you do a little bit of this, you do a little bit of that, and you throw in some ads on Facebook. Oh yeah, those ads on Facebook after the election, that really influenced our electoral process. And you keep hearing about the hacking. The Russians did the hacking. What hacking? They didn't even hack your DNC servers. How did they not hack them? Because your guy Podesta made his password too damn easy. And they got in via they didn't hack anything, they passworded themselves into it. That's another thing that people just seem to forget. Hacking refers to somebody breaking into your system by bypassing your password because they don't know it. That's not what they did with Podesta and the DNC. They got into their servers and Podesta's emails because they knew Podesta's password. They didn't have to hack it. They just entered his information and put in the password, and boom, there it was. That's not technically hacking. Maybe that's illegal entry or illegal access, but it's not hacking. Not to mention, none of our electoral systems anywhere is online to be hacked. And do you know how many polling places and polling stations you would have to so-called hack in order to effectively, to affect the outcome of one of our national elections? Even if you just targeted certain states, you would have to target certain districts, which oftentimes have hundreds of machines. And if it's a large district, like a city, you'd have to affect thousands of machines. It's not really, and since they're all not interconnected on the internet, it's not plausible for them to hack them. Now, just think about it. You would have to hack thousands of voting machines across the country, and even in some districts that don't really, they still use, pencil and paper. Oh, sure, it's counted by a machine, but that machine that is counted is definitely not connected to the internet. So how are you going to hack it if it's not even possible to get to it from outside? Oh, Rod, they can do it, man. Haven't you seen the movie Eagle Eye? They can do it. They can do it anything. Okay. So all this hacking and collusion came about because of a dossier that was paid for by the Clintons, and it was nothing but fiction. They used that dossier to get numerous types of FISA warrants so they could spy on American citizens. They illegally unmasked American citizens who were speaking with Russians, who were speaking with Russian diplomats legally because they had a reason to, both privately and governmentally speaking, because of the transition and potential transition. And none of those conversations that were actually this is the other thing that isn't being reported. None of the conversations that were taped ever talked about the Russians influencing in one way or another, either physically, hacking, monetarily, any way trying to change the outcome of the election or help the Trumps. Help Trump. None of those taped. This is something you're not hearing either. None of those taped, and there are numerous taped conversations. None of them point to that. None of them point to it. So where's the collusion again? I'm just asking. I don't know. So how is it that now Bannon can now come out and say that Trump is a traitor? Really? Man.
You might be surprised to learn who has Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. Nearly 1 in 200 Americans are suffering with the debilitating pain and constant disruption of these inflammatory bowel diseases, or IBD. Chances are you know someone with IBD. For example, your neighbor or coworker. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation was created to help patients cope and to find a cure. People with IBD can't wait. Won't you help someone you know? Visit www.escapethestall.com today.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. But most people don't know they are infected. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you can still have hepatitis C, a serious liver disease that often has no symptoms. In fact, people can live with hepatitis C for decades without feeling or looking sick. But over time, hepatitis C can cause serious health problems, including liver damage, liver failure, or even liver cancer. Getting tested is the only way to know if you're infected with hepatitis C. That's why the CDC recommends everyone born from 1945 to 1965 get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments are available that can cure this disease. So talk to your doctor about getting tested. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? Shifting to a system based on primary care can help fix the problem. Patients with a primary care doctor live longer, healthier lives and are less likely to suffer from cancer, heart disease, or stroke. Primary care that is comprehensive and coordinated also saves money. Patients who have a primary care doctor spend 30% less on health care than patients who don't. States with a high number of primary care doctors have lower health care costs and higher quality care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
The Amazon's rainforest is being cut down so fast that by 2030, 55% of it could be completely wiped out. The Earth's forests can't speak up when they need help, but we can. Be the voice for those who have no voice. Visit worldwildlife.org.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, It can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Dad, we need to talk.
Can we just enjoy the drive?
If you're not going to listen to me, who will we listen to?
Jeffrey. Marcia Gay Harden, what?
Eyes on the road, Dad.
What are you doing? What are you doing in my back seat? How did you get in here?
You're getting older.
Not that old.
Your brain's changing. It's natural.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Honey, I've got experience with this. Jeffrey, brain health is all about making the most of your brain as you age and helping to reduce some of the risks to your brain.
Really? Now that's interesting.
So, you'll talk to her about this, but not me. Marcia Gay Harden? Where did she go?
Learn what you can do to help keep your brain healthy at brainhealth.gov. She didn't say goodbye? I mean, I would have. Visit brainhealth.gov.
Guitar, and then you bring in the horns.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Being able to win the White House if he were to run. But again, would that be his goal? If Bannon were to toss his hat in the ring to run for president, he wouldn't run as a GOPer. He wouldn't run as a Republican, and it would be to get back at Donald Trump and to make sure that Donald Trump lost. That's all his third party candidacy would be. And he's going so far now as he was such a huge supporter of Trump, and now all of a sudden he's turning on him. There is some stuff that happened on his exiting the White House or the administration that is now getting to Bannon. And now you're starting to get some people who did not unload on him before, like Donald Trump Jr., now unloading on Bannon. After Bannon said that, this whole, because Bannon knows that the book is that what's his face just came out with is a work of fiction. He knows it. But folks, well, Trump has gotten rid of the populism portion of his administration in Steve Bannon. Bannon is not a conservative, folks. He's a populist, much like Teddy Roosevelt way back in the day. Much like, anybody remember Pat Buchanan? Pat Buchanan was not really a conservative Republican. He was a populist. Trump is not really a populist. Look what he's not governing as a populist. His agenda is not full of populist ideas. And as a matter of fact, if Congress were to actually get on board with him, none of his stuff, we would have gotten even deeper tax cuts. We would have had a complete repeal of Obamacare with no government intervention. If Congress would get behind him, we would have already, DeVos would have already have shut down the Department of Education. But we got all this stuff still. Because that stuff is not a populist notion to get rid of all that stuff or cut that deeply. That's not populism. And I think that was probably his problem while being he was trying to foist a populist ideal on the administration, and Trump wasn't buying it. And that caused a lot of derision and division within the administration. And somebody had to go, and obviously it was Bannon. So why is Bannon now all of a sudden doing what he's doing and saying what he's saying about Trump? There's a private hit. You know, it is so this whole notion that everybody takes things so personally in politics is just ridiculous, because now it's affecting all of us. You know, people's feelings are getting hurt in politics, and they're taking it out on the rest of us. People's feelings got hurt because the mainstream media's feelings got hurt because we didn't buy into their crap and elect Hillary Clinton. And so now they're all bent out of shape. Their feelings got hurt. And we didn't listen to them. We're still not listening to them. Bannon's feelings at some point got hurt to the point where he needs to correct that. He needs to feel better about himself now. That's the whole point. Don't doubt me on this stuff, folks. Don't doubt me. Who are going to be the big Democrats coming out in 2018 and 19 for the 2020? I don't know. Don't know yet. We'll find out soon enough. But we won't find out today, because today we're out of time. So we'll be back here in 21 hours tomorrow. Friday, it is Open Mic Freedom Friday. Don't miss it. Thanks for tuning in today. See you tomorrow. I'm Rod Eccles. I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Lapdogs in the press keep their mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For a Clinton, what's loaded in some fat Apple file? A Clinton plays the victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Nothing ever hits with the sting.